Hey everyone, welcome to a special edition of Hall Hoops and Happenings. We are all Yankee fans, plenty of Yankee fans on the Seton Hall site. Yankees have a crucial game 3 tonight at Yankee Stadium against Toronto. Toronto's leading the series 2 games to nothing. We will get back. I mean, the team is getting there. Shai's encouraged. Bud Clark is doing well in the workouts. We will get back to Seton Hall Pirate basketball plenty. But relevant topic. Yankees have a huge game tonight, and we're going to talk about it. So with me is Ryan Luigi Scoops. Scoops, how are you doing? Direct from Mississippi. What's
Yes,
going
sir.
on, my guy?
Doing well. Good to see you, Mr. Romano. I'm looking forward to an awesome show. Love the hat, by the way. I think I
Oh,
have the
thank
same
you.
one. So
Thank
we're
you.
gonna have a lot of fun tonight.
Thank you. And then we have Paul Justafan LaMonica, Pirate Paul. Paul is going to do deep dive into the lineups tonight. Paul, how are you doing, my guy?
I'm doing great.
And then back from probation, suspension. I don't see him in 12 weeks, and all of a sudden he's all clean cut and he pops up tonight. And Nick, before I get into this, the last we were talking to you, some grandmother was screaming at you at a ball field when you were umpiring. How did that go? I don't
That was
forget
fun.
anything.
No,
It was
it was
fun.
fun.
Grandma was
Yeah,
on on the brink of being suspended. What happened? Did the playoffs start? The playoffs were just about to start when we saw you 14 weeks ago.
Yes, I only do regular season games for umpiring in Little League, so playoffs were not an issue. That team didn't even make the playoffs, so all good there. It's been a lot of fun. Was working with the Ferry Hawks up on Staten Island instead, so a lot of fun.
Nice.
Good time.
Good for you, brother.
All kidding aside, we missed you and welcome back. And I'm glad you
Thank
had
you.
a
Good
very
to be
productive
back.
summer and got a lot accomplished with the former Staten Island Yankees. Still not happy about
Yes.
that. But.
Yeah, for real.
So let's Luigi, Paul, you guys want to start about the so this is a critical game, must-win game. Carlos
Yep.
Rodon going. Carlos Rodon had the best the batting average against Carlos Rodon for the season is the lowest in the major against any starting pitcher, 188. He is, if not our ace, he's 1A. 18 wins this year, 2.8 ERA. Confident that he's on the mound, but I was confident when we had Max Fried on the mound. So
Right.
Luigi, start us off. Thoughts?
Well, first of all,
I think. Oh, sorry. I thought you
Well,
said
let's go
Luigi.
Luigi first.
go ahead, Scoop.
Okay, sorry about that. No, I think that you hit the nail on the head with the elephant in the room being the fact that we had all the confidence in the world behind Fried, and that game somehow ended up being uglier than the one before it. So at least until they were able to score up to 7 runs before or by the time it was pretty much out of reach. Again, I feel very good about Rodon tonight. We've got definitely a better version of him than we had in the original time that we signed him away from San Francisco. But again, the pitching, and I know I'm kind of in a group that's not the majority on this one. The pitching hasn't really concerned me.
Well, the starting pitching, right?
Even when you look at guys like I believed in Williams for a good chunk for most of the year. I believed he was going to figure it out. I think he got some really unlucky runs there that he had. So even Williams, I was still big on. Bednar was the guy that I was calling for at the deadline. I love that we got him back there. The two obvious ones right now are Weaver, which. I think that none of us want to see him tonight, unless literally he's the only alive pitcher in the bullpen. And then, I mean, even Doval, we got to see a better side of him the other day. So hoping that if we need him tonight, he'll show up that same way. But again, to me, it's going to come down to the offense. I need to see Aaron Judge in there today. I need to see Ben Rice. Remember that he's Ben Rice. I don't know what he turned into the last 2 or 3 weeks, but he's been completely, he's been useless at the plate so more often than not. So I need to see this lineup get to him early. I need to see him get to it often, and I need to see the guys that we expect to come through, like Stanton and company. But I also need to see the guys who are just too good to not be coming through when we need him. I need to see Judge have a big moment. I need to see Rice have a big moment, and some of the other guys that we've had. Wells, I just want to see him do his thing on defense. I'm not asking for him to go 3 for 3 at the plate, but do your thing for me on defense, and let's go. This is, like you said, it's a do or die game, and I know we saw some reports come out a couple of months ago when they were struggling in August. Giancarlo Stanton basically laid into the team that it's like, hey, what are we doing here? I don't know if that similar thing happened again in the last 2 days. Wouldn't surprise me if it did, and we just didn't find out about it directly. But yeah, I think that it's I need to see it from Judge. I need to see it from Rice. I need to see it up and down. But again, we can't keep relying on the same 2 or 3 hitters especially if we want to advance to a series against a team like Seattle.
Yeah, so we're in a sense in the Final Four. Last year we made the finals. This year we're in the Final Four. But we're a flawed team, but so is everyone else in baseball. But the difference is we're an uneven team, meaning that we rely on the homer. This led the majors in homer. Brian Cashman's computer built this team, on a home run. That's the computer spits out that lineup. And yes, Aaron Boone does not make the starting lineup. We all know that. He does, and Aaron Boone's kind of in a bad position because the guy doesn't make the lineup. He really doesn't. Upstairs gives him the lineup, and if the lineup does well, they pat themselves on the back. And if they don't, he's answering the questions at the press conference. They should turn around and he should say, "Well, let me talk to the guy in charge of analytics to answer the questions why that was done." Because let's face it, this isn't Billy Martin. Okay, this is a different way of managing. But anyway, Luigi, we need home runs. We need big moments.
Yes.
Aaron Judge is a great player. Might be the greatest right-hand hitter in the history of the New York Yankees, which is saying a lot. But he hasn't had that moment. Reggie Jackson, 3 home runs in the World Series, right? I don't even know what he could have batted 190 in that World Series. It doesn't matter. 3 home runs in one game.
It wasn't the stats, it was the moments.
You need a moment. Derek Jeter, Mr. November, home run. You need a moment. Aaron effing Boone hits a home run. So Bucky effing Dent hits a home run. Yeah. Somebody has to step up. Stanton was doing it last year. Paul, who's going to stand up tonight?
So, first of all, to me in baseball, momentum is today's starting pitcher.
Right.
So, the first 2 games don't mean that Toronto's on a roll. Rodon goes out and shuts his team down, and there's no more momentum. I looked at Rodon, has had a very, very good September. Really did not have a single bad start since the middle of August. Justin Bieber, who's pitching for the Toronto Blue Jays tonight, has been. I
caught that, by the way. I caught it.
It's been a little bit.
If Nicole was here, she would have thought that it was Justin Bieber, but no.
But
you don't give Nicole enough credit. Go on.
He's been a little bit more up and down. Shane Bieber has. But I think he's capable of a good game. When I look at Judge, I see a guy who is trying to play within himself. He has had so many bad postseasons offensively. And I don't know whether that springs from the fact that he was trying to hit home runs or trying to do too much. But you've seen that he has been trying to stay within himself. He's been hitting a lot of line drives. His batting average is over 400. He's been hitting 444 in the playoffs. He's got an OPS of over 1,000, but he hasn't been hitting home runs.
But he struck out with the bases loaded.
Yeah,
he had his moment.
Yeah. Now, by the way, Derek Jeter was a movie's full of moments, right? I can name 10 Derek Jeter moments over his career. Not too many guys get those things. And we do need Judge to have that thing where he does hit the home run, does make the big play, does drive in, hit the double that scores 3 in the bottom of the 8th inning and puts the team up. And he hasn't had that. And until he has that, there's always going to be an asterisk next to his name when we talk about all-time Yankee greats. Fair enough. Right. But I think that the fact that they finally broke out of the shell, broke out of the slump a little bit in the second half of Game 2, even though the game was decided, is a good sign offensively. Judge is using the Yankees are using the same lineup today.
Run down the lineup.
Well, this is what this is what I got off of Yahoo Sports. I'm assuming it's right. They're going Grissom, Judge, Bellinger, Rice, Stanton, Chisholm, McMahon, Volpe, and Wells. In that order.
So they're going with the lefties. They're going with the lefties.
Yes.
I definitely think it makes sense to have Volpe and Wells at the bottom of the order. Typically your defense first guys typically go down there. Although if Volpe is able to, because sometimes he's been good for a big hit. So if he's able to do that in the right moment and kind of act as a second leadoff hitter, that could be intriguing.
But when you look at the Yankee batting averages, Judge hit 331 this year. Bellinger hit 272. Stanton hit in the 270s. But the bottom of that order, McMahon, Volpe, and Wells together, none of them are hitting over 220. And, I think that it's tough. I think, Nick hit on it. Nick and Scoop have both hit on it. You can't be relying on 6 guys at this time of year or 5 guys this time of year. They're going to need to get something out of the bottom of the order. They're going to need to get something out of their, what do you call it, McMahon, offensively, even though that's not what he does. Otherwise, you can't basically say every third inning, we're going to go down in 9 or 10 pitches and have to run the offense out there. We're going to need to see something from the bottom of the order.
I respectfully disagree with you, and this is the one thing. If I were to tell you a Yankee shortstop had 19 home runs and 75 RBIs, you would say Derek Jeter. No, Anthony Volpe. Anthony Volpe. Right, but he's batting .219. But he's still 19 home runs, 75 RBIs. That's not bad. That's not bad at all.
But there's a lot of outs there.
But if it was 270, you'd be like he had a great year.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I agree. It's 19 home runs for him a shortstop.
And Nick, I get it, but you've got to, you've got 19 home runs and you've got how many more outs? You're going through that lineup.
75 RBIs.
I'm still going through that lineup. I'm still saying to myself, I need guys to get on base.
It's the way the game is now. It's not like Mickey Rivers and Willie Randolph leading off and setting the table. They said Shohei Ohtani had 12 leadoff homers. That's a waste of homers, if you ask me. Judge batting second might be a waste in the way I would do a lineup, right? You put your best hitters 3 and your best hitter goes third. You set the table. I don't know. Nick Morgan, what do you think? Am I too old school?
No, I definitely see both sides. And you look at Volpe's stats, like strikeout-wise, 150 strikeouts. That's the lowest he's had in a single season. He's only been up for 3 years, but the strikeout rate isn't bad. He chases a lot. And, he makes hard contact and finds the defense a little too often, but it's not necessarily his fault. He's doing what he can. He's got the torpedo bat, or he had the torpedo bat at least. Don't know if he reverted back to the regular bat or not. But the 19 home runs, 72 runs batted in, it's definitely something to be happy about. It's more than we got from him last year. I think it was 12 home runs last year and right around 55, 60 runs batted in. So it's definitely an improvement. I mean, the WAR is a lot lower. I know we're kind of in the era now. Wins above replacement is a big stat that we look at. And for Volpe, it's the lowest that he's had in the 3 years of his career, 3.3, 3.4, now 1.7. I'm intrigued by the idea of throwing Caballero out there just to see what he can do. Get a speedy guy out there in the lineup, run him out. Maybe instead of Volpe or instead of McMahon. They have a lot of faith in the lefties tonight. The lefties aren't hitting well in the playoffs this year. I mean, really not many of the Yankees are hitting well in the playoffs at this point. Judge leads the league in the playoffs with 8 hits. Mookie Betts behind him, Teoscar Hernandez behind him, Nico Horner behind him, all at 7. Judge has 8. So he has the hits, not big hits. But
how many RBIs does Judge have?
Let me see. It looks like
in the playoffs, 2.
2 RBIs.
Yeah. Yes.
And there you go.
A lot of his hits have been singles. He's been getting on base. I forget who it was. I think it was someone on MLB Network saying clogging the bases. That was a quote a couple of weeks ago. That was, guys who don't hit home runs clog the bases. So I guess right now, in this case, Judge is clogging the bases with singles and doubles, which I disagree with personally.
Excuse me.
I think that. Well, who was that?
I hiccuped. I said, excuse me.
Luigi's dog, but that's okay.
Okay. No, I thought you were saying who it was. I think it was might have been DeRosa on MLB Network, but
I love DeRosa, man.
we have a lot of faith in these lefties tonight. I think we look at the lefties. I think someone steps up. It's either Bellinger or it's Jazz. I think we see a big night at the play from one of those two guys.
Get down.
And neither of them are particularly great against righties split-wise. I mean, Bellinger hits 353 against lefties on the season, 244 against righties, so that's a little concerning. Same thing with Jazz for the most part, 248 against left, 240 against right, so not as bad of a drop-off. But for Jazz...
But Jazz had a lot of home runs against righties, though. A lot more.
I was just going to say, 25 of the 30 home runs, 31 home runs have been against righties.
Yeah.
So I think one of those guys come up tonight in the clutch for the Yankees. And I think for Bellinger, too, he wants to come back to this environment. I think it's free agency after this season. So the Yankees love him, the Yankees fans love him, but I think he really needs a big moment right now in pinstripes in the playoffs. And now,
but I think what you guys are talking about is you see that play McMahon made the other day? That was that Jeter-esque play. That's why he's in there. I mean, they got him for his defense. Because they could have got the other guy if they wanted homers, but they wanted to shore up because their lefties pitchers entice a lot of ground balls to that side of the infield. So they wanted to clear Jazz over to second. And Volpe's defense, while it was struggling when 45,000 people are booing and yelling at him, but now he's got his confidence back. He's playing better at short, and I like McMahon defensively at third. Again, lefty bat in Yankee Stadium. He has a little pop, but he's not going to hit. Nobody these days are going to hit 270, 280, on a consistent basis.
No, but we do have to talk about we do have to talk about the other side of the other dugout though. And I've watched a lot of baseball, and there are times when you get into series, and there's a guy you just can't get out. Okay, in this series it's been Guerrero. Okay, and they're going to have to do something to get that guy out. 1995, I think, they played Seattle in the playoffs, and they couldn't get Ken Griffey out. And I've seen them a couple of times. Bernie Williams, the other team just couldn't get him out. And if Guerrero's going to come up every other inning and break the game open like he's been doing, there's nothing that we're going to be able to do to stop this guy. We've got to do something to stop Guerrero. He's on fire. He's a very good player. I can't stand his face. And he's the kind of guy, who can break up a game. So if he doesn't get slowed down, I don't think we're going to be able to beat this team. And
he's also made some really good plays defensively.
Yeah, he's playing very, very well. And we've talked we've seen that happen to us. We've seen us do that to other people. Again, I mentioned Bertie Williams, Derek Jeter in the World Series against the Mets. Every time he came up, he did something to win a game. And that seems to be the mindset, the mode that Guerrero is in right now. And, they're going to have to do something to stop him, or this series is going to be done very, very quickly.
See, the guy that concerns me and the guy that I think stirs them up is Springer. Springer, I think, is their best player.
And I think if you look at it, I'm looking at Rodon's stats against the Blue Jays this year. Only two guys have hit home runs against Rodon on the Blue Jays lineup out of the people that Rodon's faced, and that's Springer, who has hit 2, and Vladdy, who has hit 1. Vladdy's hitting 588 and 17 at-bats against Rodon this year. Springer, the average is 192, but 2 home runs, 6 runs batted in, and a couple of walks. Those are the two guys that have already had the success against Rodon, and Vlad's already on a hot streak. I think 2 home runs and 5 or 6 runs batted in the 2 games already against us.
6 for 9, 2 home runs, 6 RBIs.
Yeah. Here's the good news. Here's the good news. We're not playing a game at Toronto. What are we? 1-7. What are we, Nick?
I think we're 1-8.
1-8 at Toronto this year.
Have you guys seen Toronto's home stats versus road stats this year by any chance? Have you guys looked at that?
What is going on? What is going on with that, Nick Morgan? You're in a professional baseball dugout. What is going on in Toronto? Because you've been hearing all these little whispers. They got some garbage cans hitting in Toronto or something?
54 wins and 27 losses at home compared to 40 wins on the road and 41 losses on the road. They are significantly better at home. And it's all speculation. It's all, this, that, and the third, or possibly, what could be. People are attributing it to the hotel, and who knows what's going on in the hotel out there in center field, and do they have something set up? Obviously, it's like, a lot of Yankees fans might be saying that now because we're down in this situation. But 54 and 27 at home is absolutely ridiculous. It's absolutely like you are winning
Well, you know,
67% of your games at home.
Springer comes from a great tradition of a bunch of cheating cheaters from Houston. You know, it wouldn't surprise me if he came up there and got somebody out there with a spotting scope somewhere in a hotel, and they wouldn't surprise me in the least.
Well, you laugh, Paul. Paul, do you remember Bernie the Brewer? Bernie Brewer, what's his name? Bernie the Brewer.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Nick Morgan.
I'm not sure.
Bernie the Brewer was the Brewers mascot that hung. You know, Nick, that hung out in right field, and when they hit a home run, he would go down the slide. Well, Earl Weaver or another manager thought Bernie the Brewer had binoculars and was stealing signs and relaying them in, and ran out and almost got into a fight with Bernie the Brewer. So yeah, so that's like the same. Who knows, right?
Well,
Luigi, is there something shady going on in Toronto? What's up?
I don't think there's something shady going on.
Luigi, stop! Get that dog. Nick, you missed this. The guy's great. I love him. He's a Bruce fan. Got dogs, cats.
This cat, my cat is like, or not? Well, it's not technically my cat. Yet,
You're live. Give your neighbor your cat.
My neighbor moved out. But anyway, so no, I don't think there's anything nefarious going on with Toronto. And going back to WTS a couple of weeks ago, I had mentioned that I do think, first of all, I can't stand it, and I don't know if this is playing a factor or not, but I can't stand that damn AstroTurf that they play on. And it's one of only 5 teams left that still plays in that, and they're increasingly taking it down in NFL stadiums and the like. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's partially, because again, I know that we still, play it in the division, but I just don't know if it's the same as actually playing on it every, 81 games a year. So I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think it's a major thing, but I think it is something. So, that might be part of it. I don't know in terms of at least for the fielders. But no, I didn't see anything that would make me believe there was anything nefarious going on. But it's again, we got to be able to. This is not an indestructible team. We got to be able to get to their bullpen when we get there. We got to be able to take advantage of the areas where they are less strong. Because right now we were making them look this last couple of days. We were making them look like the mid '90s Braves, and they are not that in any stretch.
No,
and I will say,
I watched. Sorry, go ahead, Nick.
I don't want to feed into the whole are the Blue Jays cheating, but another little stat here. They have more home runs than strikeouts in the postseason, and more hits than whiffs. They have 8 home runs, 7 strikeouts, 29 hits, 27 whiffs. So they're seeing the ball very well. At the end of the day, they're seeing the ball very well against Teal, who I thought would have had a good shot against them, and against Max Fried, who really surprised me in a bad way in his last outing against them. Like,
that was pathetic. That was pathetic.
But what I was going to say is I watched the condensed game. After I watched the game, I watched the 15-minute highlight on MLB.com. And so all you see are the hits and the outs. So you don't see all the pitches. And I was amazed at both Fried and Heel of how many balls that were hit were right down the middle. Because you see them, one hit after another hit after another hit. Fried was up in the zone, up over the plate all afternoon for his 3 innings, and Heel was in the same place. That thing that that pitch that kind of goes down, it stayed up, and you could see it just sliding across the plate. So I'm not surprised that that both of those starters got rocked. I don't think that the Blue Jays would need to know what was coming to rock fastballs that are up in the strike zone.
No.
So that is an argument to just say that the Yankees did not pitch well in their first 2 starts.
But that's like easily Fried's worst effort of this. Like hasn't had anything like that, correct? Easily his worst effort.
He had that brief period of time, and I want to say it was July.
Yeah,
he had like a weird
right around the All-Star game, right? He had a blister.
He had a weird stretch of like 6 starts that for some reason he just looked off and was on the heels of that blister thing, but they were saying that it wasn't the blister and one thing or another. But and then he seemed to really turn it around as the second half started to kick in. So, but I don't know. But again, he's gotten the reputation as the stopper, right? So after after we have a clunker, we're supposed to be able to put the ball in his hand and be able to to be ready to roll. And the fact that he just completely did not put them in position to now again, the bats were not in a good position while he was pitching to begin with, but to their credit, they did go and put up 7, later in that game, which in many postseason games, 7 runs should get you at least
Right.
Close to at least in position to be able to win. So, I think that kind of gets spread around a little bit there in terms of where the criticism belongs, but yeah, you can't go out there as with that reputation as the stopper in that position, having just signed a $218 million deal this year, and having pitched like a Cy Young caliber pitcher all year long. You can't go out there in Toronto again, or I'm sorry, can't go out there in Toronto in a game 2 that if you don't win, you're going to be facing elimination, and just completely have and especially because one of the criticisms that people had of him, and I didn't think it was well founded, but people thought that he was too inconsistent in October in Atlanta.
Right.
So when you already have that potential, at least in some people's eyes, that either stain or at least a blemish on your record, that's not a great way to ingratiate yourself to Yankees fans for your first time in the postseason here.
Hopefully he'll get another chance, right? Hopefully he'll have a chance at redemption.
That's the hope. And then you got to make sure, you got to just go out there and, really be on it, because it's one thing to already be a ground ball pitcher, which that was already not going to play greatly in Rogers Center. But, they didn't even get the chance, or he didn't even get the chance to get the ball on the ground all that often, because again, like Justafin was saying, those things were hanging way too long and way too often.
Let me ask you guys a question while we're on Fried. Were you guys as annoyed as I was in the Boston game that he pitched, that he was yanked at 99 pitches? I mean, I was ticked. I was so ticked. I was screaming at Aaron Boone, and then when Aaron Boone lets the rookie go like 117 or something, insanity. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I was very upset with that. I told a lot of my friends this. I thought Max Fried should have started game 2 for us against Boston. I think facing Crochet, you throw out Rodon, who still had not equally as good year as Fried, but still had a very good season with the Yankees and pinstripes, his best season with the team. I would have rather Rodon start game 1, have Max Fried start game 2, let him run as far as possible, because if he puts up that performance in game 2, that's a sure thing game win in game 2, or a sure thing win in game 2. So that's either a clinching game or that is getting us back on track. I would have felt better with Fried game 2 anyway, but I do think he came out way too early game 1. Obviously, there was no chance of him being in game 3 at all. It's not going to be like Kershaw coming out of the bullpen for the Dodgers. It's not a best of 7. He would not have been on enough rest to make an appearance in game 3 nonetheless. So just let him go till the arm falls off. Crochet was killing us. I mean, I don't think anyone was surprised by that, but I think he did come out too early. At the end of the day, though, too, like maybe Boone was trying to protect him for this series, assuming we were ready, but you can't really make it on.
You can't do that in the playoffs.
No, you can't protect somebody for the next series. And I've been a defender of Aaron Boone. I've been a supporter of Aaron Boone. But if he was doing that, then that was a dumbass decision.
Do you think? Wait. But was it his decision? That's my whole argument.
We'll never know, right? In this day and age, there's always a collaboration between the front office and the manager. It's just how it is. And can I help you? And so I'm not sure, again, every front office and every manager, there's going to be some different level of, who has more weight in what. I still do believe that Aaron Boone has a decent amount of autonomy. I don't think that he, is, I don't think it's as literal as what people say. I think it's kind of a straw man argument when people say, "Oh, Cashman literally writes out the lineup and just tells Boone."
Well, I think the analytics department, they do. Ex-players have said that.
I think
A-Rod said it today.
I think what they're saying is I don't think that they mean it in a literal sense in terms of that's exactly how it goes down. I think that they basically say they give him all this information, and if he doesn't go against or if he doesn't go with it, then he's going to have to answer later if it bleeps up. That I think is more along the lines of what I've actually heard, from direct, not direct, but from people who have been connected to different organizations, not just the Yankees. I'm talking about different organizations in both the AL and the NL. And
Now, as far as Fried is concerned, Nick, I thought he was done. He looked tired to me after the 6th inning. The objection I have is you sent him out to start the 7th.
Right.
And he got an out.
Right.
I mean, let him get another out.
That's right.
What bothers me about the way the Yankees are managed, the way Boone manages, and I don't know, again, who's deciding what, but it seems like Aaron Boone knows now when he's going to take Rodon out of the game.
Yes.
He knows
because
now.
of analytics and the
And
analytics department.
and how the game goes is not going to change his mind.
Correct.
So, I mean, I would have had no problem if he took Fried out after 6, said he's gassed. Let's send out a relief pitcher to start the 7th inning, because I thought he looked tired. I thought that he was wild high in the 6th a couple of times. But if you're going to send him out to start the 7th inning and he gets an out, let him get another out. Let him get another out. Go batter to batter until he gives up a run or he gives up a hit or gives up a walk. So I think that the predetermined way that Boone manages runs against everything that I've ever seen in baseball. I don't know how you can manage a game where you don't allow the situation to impact your decision. Phil Mushnick once said that if you were watching the Yankees and you were trying to lose, you would do what Boone does, because he takes out effective pitcher after effective pitcher after effective pitcher. So if you were sitting there saying, well, he's trying to find an ineffective pitcher so he can lose the game, you do exactly what he does. And so I have a little problem not being able to distinguish winning and losing strategy. But that's the way baseball is played now. 19
now you guys, Luigi, you guys know who Sparky Lyle is, right? Not the manager.
yes, of course, yeah.
Okay, Albert Walter, Sparky Lyle. Okay.
Yeah.
77 postseason. Billy Martin's the Yankees manager.
Yep.
Starting, and let's get this straight. He was the Yankees closer.
Yep.
Yankees starter got into trouble.
Yep.
He brought Sparky Lyle in the 3rd inning. Sparky Lyle went 6 innings of shutout baseball.
Yeah.
That ain't happening today. Aaron Boone's computer would have blown up. But Billy, and again, if Gabe Paul gave Billy Martin the lineup, what would he have done, Paul?
He would have punched Gabe Paul out.
Right. I know you guys.
Literally, he would have punched him out. Question for you guys: how long do you think Boone has a quick hook with Rodon tonight, or do you think he's going to let him go?
Yes.
You think he is?
Here I'll put it this way. I do think it's going to depend on the specifics of the situation. I think that he would have a quicker hook if the bullpen was deeper.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to be influencing him. I think he would probably like to have a quicker hook than he'll be able to. But I think at the end of it all, with the exception of, and here's what I would do. I know that Bednar's the closer. But because Bednar's the reliever I trust the most, if I'm seeing Rodon get into a crap show in the 3rd or the 4th inning, and I'm seeing him get into danger in the 3rd or the 4th inning, I'm putting Bednar in then, because I want my best reliever in when
you're going to do a Billy Martin. That will never happen. They're not doing that.
I'm not saying what I think they are going to do. I'm saying this is what I would do.
Right. I would.
There was a team that did that a couple of years ago. In the playoffs, I'm not sure if it was the Cubs or the White Sox, but they were bringing.
I know that the Rays and the Guardians have done it a couple times.
Yeah, they were bringing in their best relief pitcher to face the heart of the order in the 8th inning, right? I mean, 3, 4, 5 would be coming up.
I've seen them. I've seen teams bring in their closers in like the 5th or the 6th inning. In fact, I've seen the Yankees do it a couple times.
Mm-hmm. To get out of the big jam, and then we'll worry about what happens later.
Yeah, well, that was my point, because I think teams are realizing more and more now that just because it's the last inning doesn't mean those are going to be your biggest outs. Your biggest leverage situation or highest leverage situation may be in the fourth with bases loaded, and I want the guy that I trust the most to get 3 outs coming in. Then I'm not going to save him for the ninth just because he's called the closer. No, I don't care about closer, setup man, middle reliever, long reliever. I care about in what order do I trust you to get the biggest outs, and who do I trust matchup wise, or lane wise, going up against one set of guys or the other. Because now because gone are the days where we have those specialists where you bring in a left-hander to face 2 lefties, because you got to face minimum 3 batters now. So that I think also affects bullpen management a little bit as well. Or maybe not even, maybe more than a little bit. But I to go back to your original question, I think that he has a quicker hook, or I'm sorry, less of a quick hook than I think you would like. But I do still think that the hook is quick. First or second inning, I think he probably has to let him try and figure it out if he gets in trouble that early. If you're talking the 4th inning or so, I think that he pulls him.
Let's do it the other way. If he's pitching well, what's the number that they yank him at? Because that's what they look at. Nick Morgan.
Right. I was going to actually say, I'm going to go out on a limb and say Rodon's not going to need a leash because he's going to do so well that we hopefully just don't even have to worry about this, right? But I'd say his target should be 7 innings. I'd say 7 innings, 105 pitches, 110 pitches. Like, let him go.
I was going to go by.
You would let him go 110?
I was going to go by pitch count. I'm going to say similar. I'm going to say 105 pitchers or so. Right. But I also, and this is something that I pay attention to, that I think also is part of how the Yankees do that, and not just the Yankees, plenty of teams. I want to wait. Even if you get to 105 pitches, if he's still striking guys out or he's still giving up soft contact, then I'm letting him continue to go. If you start to get to like that 90, 95, and you're starting to see him give up hard contact, even if he's getting guys out, if you start to see him give up, hard fly balls that turn into outs, or line drives that turn into outs, I think there he might go a few batters earlier, just because again, you start to see a guy give up, hard contact that he wasn't giving up earlier, typically an indicator that the guy is starting to lose a step.
Now, Scoop, to your point, I'd like to get out of this game with 2 pitchers. I'd like to use Rodon, I'd like to use Bednar, and I'd like to not have to use anybody else.
So then you want Rodon to go 7 1/3, right?
I want Rodon to get me 25 or get me 22 or 23 outs, and I want Bednar to get me the other 4 or 5. I don't think it'll happen, but that's what I would. That's what I would like to see.
That would be my optimal. I will say, and people are probably going to disagree with me on this, but I mentioned him earlier. If it's let's say 20 outs with who did you just say? I'm sorry. With 20 outs with Rodon, and then let's say 3 outs with Williams, and then 4 outs with Bednar, I'm fine with that too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now here's another question.
Wait, let Nick Morgan go. Nick, go.
Yeah. You look at the bullpen. Everyone is going to be on 2 full days of rest, other than Will Warren and Luke Weaver. So you really have almost every weapon to choose from out of the bullpen that you want. I do think we see Williams and Bednar no matter what, because they have not pitched at all this series, right? So I think we're going to throw them out there. I think 3 pitchers would be great, because I don't see Rodon going straight to Bednar to close things out. I see the middleman at some point. But Rodon, a 2.98 ERA at Yankee Stadium this year. 10 wins, 4 losses in 15 games, just under 91 innings. 48 hits, 30 earned runs. 13 home runs. You want to watch the long ball, again, especially with Springer and Vlad. But I think we need 3 pitchers comfortably. I think we're going to 6 1/3, 6 2/3.
Guys, I want to apologize.
Paul, go.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, so I was going to throw out another question, which is, if you think about Rodon's last 3 batters in the Red Sox game, I mean, he looked like Charlie Brown, right? He threw the ball over the backstop. He hit a guy in the head. He threw it in the dugout.
Nuke LaRouche.
And so, do we think that there's going to be an issue? I mean, do we think he's all right? I mean, I never heard anybody address what happened in the 7th inning of the Red Sox game.
Let Scoop handle that.
Well, real quick before I get to that, I want to apologize because there are some comments that have been coming in that I want to give some air attention to.
Oh, get rid of this guy. No, this guy's no. Bye, goodbye. No.
Okay. Yankees
go.
need to win tonight. Kenny says the problem with the Yankees, in my opinion, is the manager. Goldschmidt, borderline Hall of Famer, and he doesn't even play. Stan has done nothing. Lead off.
Wait, let me handle Kenny. Kenny,
go ahead.
Is it the manager or is it Brian Cashman, the front office, and their computer? I honestly don't think it's the manager. I think the manager is the scapegoat. I think they are telling the manager what to do and how to manage and who to play. I'm sorry.
Also, I'm sorry, but Goldschmidt was one of the worst hitters in baseball for most of the second half of the year. So that is not somebody that I'm trusting Stanton's track record over Goldschmidt's. If we're going off of guys who have struggled recently, Goldschmidt's not done anything either. So the argument that Stanton's done nothing, I'm not gonna agree with that. I'm sorry.
Nick Morgan, Goldschmidt or Stanton, or both. You could do both.
Yeah, you can do both. I think Goldschmidt against lefties is much better than Goldschmidt against the righty. So I think that's also what comes into play too. And like tonight, Goldschmidt should be on the bench. I was at the last home game of the regular season when Ben Rice hit 2 home runs, and we won that game because of Ben Rice. Like, I'm a big fan of Ben Rice. I like him over Wells. I would say start, if you want Goldschmidt in, start Rice behind the dish, put Goldschmidt at first. Stanton can still be in there. It works just as well. Then also 1 point on that last comment. I do like Aaron Boone as a person. I like his interviews. I like watching him on Talking Yanks, on Talking Baseball, whatever the case may be. I think he wouldn't have a job if it was him making the decisions. I do think it's at a point where I think it's coming from above him. I think if he were making some of these decisions, he would not have a job at this point. Because some of the
Nick Morgan, who's calling the shots?
It's someone above him. It might be Cashman. It might be someone in the front office. It might be the analytics department. I don't think it's him by himself, and I think that's why he still has
I agree.
Job. I like Boone a lot. I respect Boone a lot. I like him in his position, but I think he'd be making different decisions if he had full control of this team, which I don't think he does.
Here's what
I think that's fair.
Luigi, let me just go first. Here's what I think Boone's strength is. I think 162 game season, you have to have a player's manager. You do. Dave Roberts of the Dodgers. You have to get a guy to get the clubhouse. You've been in clubhouses, Nick. You have to get a guy that everyone's going to get along and want to play together. You don't have, you can't have, Bill Parcells causing chaos, and he likes chaos, or Bill Belichick. Doesn't work in baseball. But I think that's his strength. But the other stuff, I don't think he's making those calls. Luigi, go on.
Yeah, no, I largely agree with that. I do think that his strength is because, again, by and large, when a team fires a head coach or a manager, what do? They bring in somebody who doesn't have who has what that last guy they perceived that last guy lacked. Joe Girardi. There were reports that he and players were not getting along. There were reports that he was not perceived to be helping players development or good for players development, et cetera, et cetera. People came out and said that. I think Mark Teixeira was somebody who mentioned that, et cetera, et cetera. So I do think that the sort of steady hands, especially in a place like New York, I do think that there's value to that. But I would definitely agree that he's in there more as a clubhouse leader than he is as a tactician, I guess, if you want to put it that way. So again, and again, I disagree with Kenny on he's a horrible horrible baseball manager, et cetera, et cetera. The amount of problems that we've had over the last few years in October, I'm sorry, it wasn't Boone's fault that everybody got injured in their dog in 2022. It wasn't Boone's fault that everybody everybody forgot how to play defense randomly in the game 5 last year's World Series, which was the most pathetic thing I've ever seen on a baseball field. So I do think that I hold players accountable more than Boone for certain things that happen on the field. Again, the pitching decisions in terms of when they take guys out or one thing or another. I do think that those are sometimes I think that those are very fair criticisms and very fair critiques. But I do also think that, again, when we get a payroll of $280 million or whatever it is that they're running, I'm sorry, I believe that I should be able to trust these guys to do the jobs that they're paid to do. I don't think that I should have had to hear a bunch of crap about Gleyber Torres last year or Aroldis Chapman the year before, or these different guys, or Jazz Chisholm or Marcus Stroman. the amount of guys that I've heard that have just, go back to even the post Core 4 era when they weren't winning very much between 2014 and 2016. You still were seeing teams, who were patchwork lineups and patchwork rosters. You still were seeing them, out there fighting their tail off and having, kind of out punching above their weight and kind of, performing above their level of talent. Now you're seeing the last couple of years, you're seeing the exact opposite. You're seeing, guys that are extremely talented underperforming their expectations. For crying out loud, a couple of years ago, our best outfielder for a period of time was Greg Allen.
Who?
Exactly.
So my own take on the manager, Casey Stengel famously once said the trick to managing is to keep the 5 guys who hate you away from the 5 guys who aren't sure. I don't know that you can keep 25 people happy in New York. 25 egos and 25 talents the size of 25 Major League Baseball players. And I think that Boone does too much of that. I'm in favor of the Hal McRae occasional flipping over of a buffet table, for no other reason than to demand excellence. What bothers me about Boone and what bothers me about this team is less about the lineup and how he manages and the stats and all that stuff. I don't see him demanding excellence. This is a team that doesn't know how to run the bases. Okay, this is a team where they are in a playoff game and Giancarlo Stanton is watching his ball hit off the top of the wall. Vladdy watched a couple of his balls. They went into the upper deck. I want a team that is fundamentally sound. I want a team that knows how to run the bases. I want a team that knows how to play defense. And I don't mean errors. I mean they know how to play defense. And Boone has not demanded that from any of these Yankee teams for as long as I've been watching them. And regardless of who's making up the starting lineup, this is something that a manager can demand in terms of I demand excellence. And if you're not going to provide me with excellence, I don't care what the upstairs says, I'm not going to play you. So, and I think they get into these playoff games and they play teams like Toronto or the Dodgers last year. The Dodgers were such a better baseball team than the Yankees were last year. The way they ran the bases, the way they fielded, the way they knew what base to throw to, the way there were things that the Yankees did defensively that I was flabbergasted by. High school coaches would be furious at the way they played defense. And I'm not talking about dropping fly balls. And so that's going to be my knock on Boone forever. If he can't demand excellence from a $280 million payroll, then I'm not sure what his job is.
The Yankees have had 3 managers in 30 years. Under Hal, under George, they had 7 managers in 3 years or something.
Yeah, George, 3 managers a season.
but to your point though, they didn't win from 1978 to 1996. So are we going to say that the turnover, it's not like the turnover, yielded, great results. The turnaround was when he empowered guys like Stick Michael and Brian Sabian, and then ultimately they hired Joe Torre. That's when the
No, Luigi, he didn't empower anybody. The 2 times the Yankees got good, the first time was because George went to jail with something with Watergate and Richard Nixon, right, Paul? Something like that? Or not went to jail, but he got – what? Didn't George do something?
He made illegal campaign contributions to Richard Nixon's campaign, and he had to sit out 2 years.
Right, and that's when the Yankees did well. And then he came back, and they did all that craziness. Then he got in trouble with Howie Spira and Dave Winfield and bribery and all this stuff.
And the comments and all that. But I was saying even before that happened, because they had brought in those types of guys just before, and then he was still out of the way.
He let them do. They did their job because
that's kind of what
I mean. George wanted to trade Mariano Rivera.
He wanted to trade everybody on the core 4.
Yeah. I mean, George is like everyone talks about. Look, we love George. He parked a hell of a car in the garage, and because the parking attendant couldn't do it. True story. But George, you don't like George?
It's I'm in no way saying that I don't like him, but I'm just saying that that people canonize him and act like this team would have 5 rings if
No.
Jordan or anything.
No.
And I'm just like, do we know the same history about the Yankees? Because
No, that's not true. No,
Thank
the times they won, George got in trouble and wasn't allowed to do anything.
Right.
No,
thank you.
For me, George to me was the ultimate fan. You're sitting around at a bar and you're saying, "Oh, look at this Stanton. Boy, he struck out 4 times. They got to get rid of him." Well, George would go and do it.
Yes. And then he feel guilty about it. He fired his secretary and then hired her back.
Cohen before Steve Cohen.
Exactly.
I was at Yankee Old Timer Day, and he had fired Billy Martin. All of a sudden, Billy Martin's running out on the field as a Yankee manager the next year. That was George. Well, he would do things and then feel bad about it.
What was it, 5 different tenures that Martin had there?
Yeah.
Oh, great, yeah.
The 1977-1978 Yankees was the greatest sports soap opera in history. You couldn't have written a better script than those 2 seasons. And
Billy didn't finish 78. Bob Lemon was their manager.
Yep. I always thought that was a problem. He fired Martin. He hired Bob Lemon. They came back and they won the pennant. And I think he figured it would always work. So after that, when in doubt, let me fire the manager, see what happens.
Well, in 78, there was also a newspaper strike.
Yes.
So that had it wasn't all that Dick Young and Mike Lupica and everybody going crazy every day. You guys, that's how everyone got their information, and it was crazy. The reporters would run to Thurman would say something, then they'd run to Reggie would then, it was insane. But it was fun.
Oh yeah, it was. I was 13 years old in 1978, and every day I would take my bike. I lived in Connecticut and ride down to the deli and pick up the New York Post just to see what Henry Hecht and Phil Pepe had written about Billy Martin. And in those days, like on Wednesday afternoon, they still didn't have Monday night's game results in there. There was no information in there. It was essentially a daily sports magazine, and we couldn't wait or grab the Daily News. Couldn't wait to find out what Dick Young had written about about Billy Martin.
That summer they probably sold more newspapers than ever because remember the Son of Sam?
Oh yeah,
And the Son of Sam was writing letters to Jimmy Breslin, and oh my God, that was great. Was that 77, Paul, or 78?
77 was the Son of Sam, and 78 was the great comeback that they made.
Gosh.
And
78, they were down 13 and a half games to the Red Sox.
That's right.
And then what people don't remember is going into the last game of the year, they had a 1-game lead, and they lost to Toronto or Cleveland. No, they lost to Rick Waite in Cleveland.
Rick Waite to the Cleveland Indians.
Right. And Toronto and Boston beat Toronto. Yes.
But the Yankees had a 1-game lead with 9 games left to go in the season. They won 8 games in a row and did not pick up any ground on the Red Sox. The Red Sox won 8 games in a row as well. Now that's a pennant race. And again, I was a kid. The Red Sox games used to start a half an hour earlier than the Yankee games. And if you ever look at the scores, the Red Sox pounded Detroit and pounded Toronto. They were up 3-0, 4-0 before, you'd be in Yankee Stadium and you look at the out-of-town scoreboard, and Boston would be up 3-0, and the Yankee game didn't even start yet. That was, as fun a pennant race as I've ever seen.
Oh, the best, the total best. Paul, give us the Blue Jay lineup for tonight. You gave us the Yankees, but just run down the Blue Jays.
All right, so let me go over here. The Blue Jays are going Springer, David Schneider in left, Vlad Guerrero batting third, playing first base. Alejandro Kirk will be catching and batting fourth. Dalton Varsho is batting fifth and playing center field. Ernie Clement batting sixth and playing third base. Santander's batting seventh and playing right. Our boy IKF is playing second base and batting eighth, and Andres Jimenez is batting ninth and playing shortstop. They will have again Sean Bieber on the mound, 4-2, and 37 Ks. I don't know what that stat is from. I'm looking at Yahoo stats. Sometimes they give you stats that make no sense whatsoever. So,
What stat are you looking at?
so I'm looking at they're telling me just Shane Bieber's 2025 record. He's 4-2 with a 3.57 ERA, 37 strikeouts and 7 walks. In his last 5 games, he has he's had one bad start, I think. Let me see. Going out here. Yeah, he had a bad start against Cincinnati where he gave up 5 earned runs in 6 innings. But other than that, he's gone 2 earned runs, 2 runs, 1, 3, 2, and 1. So he's been pitching decently.
Nick Morgan, do me a favor. Find our show and put it. It's not on the Facebook page.
Okay, I'll post it there right now.
I don't know, Luigi. On the no knock, Luigi. You got thrown in this. You're doing a great job, but I don't know. I guess some people are watching us, but I don't know where they're finding it. It's on Surge. Let's share that onto the Facebook page, right?
According to this, it looks like we're on the Surge Facebook, Surge YouTube, and something else that I can't identify.
So let's get us on. Yeah, let's get us on Seton Hall in the Seton Hall page.
By the way, was there rain in Toronto? Oh, was there rain in Detroit?
I think there was. It was delayed.
Okay, because they're only in the bottom of the third, so I'm trying to see where they're going to be putting us. Blue Jays and Yankees, first pitch 8:08 p.m. Coming up next. The Tigers game will end up on FS2.
Yes.
Okay, so
we're gonna bump that game.
We're gonna bump that game to Fox Sports 2.
Yeah, both games will be viewable on the app. The Tigers and the Mariners will go to FS2, and we'll take FS1 for the rest of the night.
Okay, and Seattle's up 2-0 after 3.
So let's go. Let's go another 8-9 minutes or so. Let's go right up to 8:08.
Nick, I gotta step out. I apologize. I gotta go tend to something. But
all right, Luigi, no worries. Thank you for getting us set up. Appreciate you. Just check real quick. Any more messages?
CC just threw out the first pitch, and excuse me. So we got the right guy starting us off for the next 9 innings. Let's be talking about the continuation of the postseason next time we all regroup.
You just look real quick. Any more messages?
I don't see any.
No, Luigi's at the control panel.
No.
Nothing. Thank you, Luigi. Love you, brother. We'll talk about Bruce next time, too. I want to see that movie.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's going to be exciting. All right.
I'm hearing real quick that Jeremy Allen White does all the singing except one song.
Jeremy Allen. Sorry,
White.
say that again.
Jeremy Allen White, who plays Bruce, sings everything except one song, which is pretty amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Take care, y'all.
Good night, Luigi.
Good night, y'all.
So we will have John Smoltz doing the color tonight, which means we will get a 5 or 6 paragraph analysis of every pitch.
I like him, though.
Do you
like John Smoltz?
No, I don't know. I feel like every time he does the Yankees, he hates on the Yankees. So I mean, from the bias perspective, I feel like I just can't sit there and watch.
He knows his stuff, though. He gives good in depth on.
He does, but he's just frustrated with the 1990s and how that kind of played out for him against the Yankees. Like he has so much pent up anger against them. It just is what it is.
You think he can't hide it?
I don't think so. I think it's at least when I watch, I think it's pretty obvious. But.
Well, I find myself saying, John, it was a curveball. That's what happened. He threw a curveball, and the guy swung and missed at it. You don't have to analyze every single moment of every single pitch and tell me how many times it spun. He threw a curveball. He swung and missed. I could see it on my TV.
Who's doing play-by-play?
Somebody named Joe. Well, let me see. They just had the team up there. I'll rewind it and see the guys.
So
Boy,
wait, we're not
Vladdy is a scary looking man, isn't he? Like,
so we're not the Yankees aren't getting the A team?
it's let me see. I'm sorry, this shouldn't be taking this long. I don't know. My TV has its. Sometimes my TV has a mind of its own. So we'll see. I think it was Joe Willis was the announcer.
Do you know who he is, Nick Morgan? No. Who's
No, I
their
do not.
who's Fox's A team?
Is it still Joe Buck and
Yeah. What game are they doing?
that I don't know.
So,
Thanks, Nick Morgan. I put it up on the
Yep.
on the Facebook page too. Thank you.
perfect. Yeah. I'm trying to see. I know we had FS1. It looks like Kevin Burkhardt maybe is one of their main studio guys. Quick search. It looks like Adam Amon, AJ Pierzynski, Adam Wainwright do a lot of like the analysis stuff. Tom Verducci is also one of their big
Kevin
guys.
Burkhardt from Bloomfield, New Jersey.
Yeah. I'm not exactly
Well,
sure where their A crew is for the set in the
the
playoffs.
guy's name is Joe Davis. I think is the play-by-play man tonight. But they just put a stat up here that the Yankees leadoff man is 1 for 12. They are 1 for 12 leading off innings.
Well,
You
that's
gotta-
why Kenny Kirkpatrick wanted Paul Goldschmidt in there to bat leadoff. So, in a sense, Judge is getting all those singles and not getting RBIs because he's a leadoff hitter.
He's coming up with 1 out, nobody on.
Right.
And like I said, I think it's a game of the lefties. I think I initially said Jazz or Bellinger, but Grisham's another guy too who's done absolutely nothing. He's hitting 150 in the playoffs with a stolen base, no runs batted in, no home runs. Some lefty, if we want to win tonight, will do something memorable. I don't think it's going to just be Judge. I don't think it's going to just be Stanton. I would love if they do something and contribute if Judge finds that big first hit. But it's going to be a lefty that delivers, I think. So we'll keep an eye on it. But I think between Grisham and Bellinger and Chisholm, we have to roll the dice so that one can find a way to.
So when you guys were talking before about, Bednar or whatever, I mean, I don't want Bednar to pitch. I don't want to use Bednar tonight. I want Rodin to go out there, us to score 7 runs, Rodin to coast 7 plus innings, and then, Doval or whoever comes in, and then we got a really fresh Bednar. I don't know. I don't know if they would pitch him. I don't know. What would happen in that scenario? Like, would they pitch him just to give him work?
I was going to say, I don't think you want to let him sit too long in the bullpen without facing the Blue Jays. I think if we're up by 7, it's the perfect time to bring him in. Low leverage, top of the 9th. Maybe it's at the bottom third of the order. Let him get some pitches in. Let him get some reps in. I'd rather him come in today with a low pitch count than come in, game 4, 3-2 game, 9th inning, and okay, he makes a mistake and it's tied. So I'd rather him get some reps in now, live batters in game. This is also, big playoff, his first stint with the playoffs as a member of the Yankees. So, yes, he had the time against Boston, but get him some more reps before a crucial moment where it's really make or break.
Yeah, Nick, I
What
think
would be a perfect scenario for you, Paul?
Well, I think he has to pitch tonight. I'm looking at the thing. He hasn't pitched since last Thursday, at the 2nd. So that's 5 days. And I mean, I think you got to give him an inning tonight, regardless of game situation. Just let him throw 15 or 20 pitches in the series.
So what's going to happen? We got 3 minutes. Nick Morgan, prediction.
I think pitching wise, it's Rodon, Duvall, Williams. I think that's who we send out. Lefty to 2 righties out of the back end. And I'm going to stick with, we see some lefty come up big. I think maybe I'm liking that it's Jazz tonight. I think Jazz does something notable offensively. And I want to say between Judge or Stan, at least one of them have a collection of.
Nick Morgan, score.
I'm going to go. We'll go 7-4 Yankees.
And so Rodon gets a little bumpy.
I'd say a little bit. I'd say maybe he gives up 3, and between Duvall and Williams, 1 comes in. So we'll go 7-4 Yanks. Yep.
7 for Paul.
Well, I mean, it's baseball, Susan. So, you know, we never know what's going to happen. I think what I'd like to see is a solid 5 or 6 innings from Rodon. I was actually looking to see if I could find his, against the Blue Jays this season, he started 2 games, and I think he was 0-1, and I think the Yankees lost both of the games that he pitched. He gave 10, you know, he had an ERA of 3.60, which is not bad. So he hasn't pitched bad against Toronto. I'd like to see him get a solid outing. I don't want to screw around too much with the intermediate pitchers before I get to Bednar. Offensively, I don't know what happens. You know, what I think would be great is to jump on Bieber early. Let the Blue Jays be the team that's worrying about how they're going to get 27 outs, and you know, and then tack on. You know, the other thing that this team needs to do is, you know, they get a 3-run homer in the second inning. That can't be it. They got to tack on. They got to cut a couple of more runs. You know, like to see them scoring in the 7th and 8th inning in a game that they're you know, that they already have in hand.
So I think, and so what's your final?
I'd like to see a 5-2 game, a 6-2 game, something like that.
So you're going Yankees 5, Blue Jays 2?
Yankees 5, Blue Jays 2.
All right, I'm going to go Yankees 8. Yankees have to explode. They just have to explode. And I think Rodon, he pitches well in Yankee Stadium. I think he's going to pitch well tonight. And, 8-1 Yankees. And then we do it again tomorrow night. Speaking of tomorrow night, so the plan is the girls are going to do a 9:00 show for Taylor's new album?
Well, that's what I understand. Is anyone else participating besides the ladies?
I mean, I was going to kind of just, you know, stay out of the way. And Luigi, Nick Morgan, you want to, I mean, it's their show. I mean, I was just going to kind of do traffic cop thing, especially if Luigi was there. But, I mean, anyone could come on. But I think it's like they have to be the focus.
Clearly.
Because I don't know. I heard her some Woody song or something today. She was on some show. I have no clue. Not my expertise, not my subject matter. But the last time we did this, we had 4,000 views. So somebody's watching it.
Well, thank you so much, Nick, for managing the show. And thanks to Scoop for coming on and getting us started, even though he had to take off.
Yeah, no, we're good.
I hope everything's going well with Bobby. I don't know what happened. I know he had some sort of an emergency up there. I hope it was like a work they don't have a DJ emergency as opposed to a family type emergency.
I think the thing that we have to do is we just have to get shows every week. And if it's like Bobby can't do it, if he could just, like, this was great that Luigi was able to go in and set up. And yeah, we need a backup Bobby. And if Luigi could be that or Nick Morgan could be that, that would be amazing.
Okay, guys, the game is on, so I'm going to go watch it.
All right, go Yankees. Good night. Thank you.
Guys. Go Yankees.
Bye, guys. Thank you, Nick Morgan. Thank you, Paul. Let's go Yankees.